All right, you guys, we're going to go over the half kneeling hip flexor stretch to improve hip extension. Okay, and you can use this to target both the psoas and kind of the strict hip flexors that only cross that joint, as well as trying to target the rectus femoris that travels and crosses both the hip joint and down over the knee joint. Okay, so first, let's show you how to get at more of those strictly hip flexor muscles. Okay. So we're just going to be in a half kneeling position here, and really the important part about this stretch is what is your pelvis doing? Remember, if you tuck your pelvis backward, you are going to lengthen the hip flexors, okay? So simply by tucking, flattening the low back, bringing the pelvis backward, I am lengthening my hip flexors. If I go into an arched low back and I tilt my pelvis forward, I am shortening the hip flexors, okay? Right here from this position, I do not feel a stretch. If I tuck myself back here, I tucked myself, now I'm feeling a nice stretch down across the hip joint, okay? So that is key number one. We're gonna tuck our pelvis back, okay? If you don't feel any stretch through the hip flexors, then all you're gonna need to do is start to travel forward, okay? But you wanna be really careful as you travel forward that you don't just go into a back arch. Okay, this is what a lot of people do wrong in this stretch. Now you can see how far I can go when my low back is arched, and I'm just now barely feeling a stretch here in the hip flexors. Okay, so it's much less effective, and since we're very concerned with what's going on at our pelvis to stabilize, you might as well start practicing this stretch from this position. Okay, so tucking back, holding, breathing diaphragmatically. Okay. About 1 minute, 1 to 2 minutes, and you can travel forward as that stretch lets go. Remember, moderate is key. Okay, you don't need to be super intense in your stretch. And if you wanted to add a little bit of rectus femoris engagement here, you could draw that back leg up. Okay, same thing, tuck the pelvis. My back knee is now bent, so I'm both lengthening at my hip and at my knee. Okay, so if your rectus femoris is tight, this is a great one for you to try out. Okay, at home, you can use any sort of object, a chair, a bench, okay, something to lift that back leg up. Now, how high you want to lift it up is going to depend on you. It's going to depend on how tight you are and how much stretch across the knee or flexion in the knee is going to give you that adequate amount of stretch to produce a positive change in your nervous system. Remember, hip extension here is the goal. Okay, so give that one a go.